The plans of darkness are to get us in climate fear more than ever before. Climate fear, where they're going to press that issue. You're going to hear more and more and more now about the climate. They always revert to the climate. You're going to see that begin to rise up. Then you're going to begin to see unprecedented weather again, weather patterns. It's almost like it's been a little bit not as present, but you're going to see really severe weather coming out. Storms, tsunamis, challenges, all of this is going to radically come across the scene. I saw 3 major earthquakes. It's so strong in my spirit. I'm going to say it again. There are 3 major earthquakes coming, and they will be a sign unto this generation that much is about to break loose on the horizon. There will be economic shaking. There will be shaking of victory. There will be shaking of turnover. There's going to be unrighteousness that is removed and victory being put into the right places. You're going to see both a collision of light and darkness, good and evil. And you're going to see unprecedented removal of unrighteous voices. There are 3 major earthquakes coming that are a sign unto this generation that I am shaking the institutions. I am shaking their unrighteousness. I am shaking that which they have performed in their own eyes as wisdom and taking over the world. And I tell you, even against the World Economic Forum and even against the WHO and even against these leaders and nefarious voices that would try to take down the United States of America, I tell you 3 major earthquakes will come, and it shall be a sign unto them that I will push their agenda back. I will put it on their heels, and there will be righteousness that will stand against darkness. You're going to see electrical storms. You're going to see power outages. You're going to see blackouts. You're going to see challenges that come from the north, south, east, and west. And yet in the middle of it all, righteousness shall rise. Righteousness shall rise, and victory shall have its day. This is not the end.
I believe we're in for an economic shaking. They're going to blame it on tariffs.
Tariffs President Trump announced just hours ago. Those new measures, which President Trump described as historic, include a minimum 10% baseline tariff. Several U.S. trading partners have already vowed their own retaliatory tariffs.
I believe it's going to be induced, and you can't fall for it. You can't fall for it when they begin to say, oh my goodness, look at all the economics that are happening and how evil it is. And look what happened with tariffs. They're going to blame it on that. They're going to blame it on tariffs. They're going to blame it on all this stuff. But I'm telling you right now, God is going to absolutely make a way for you and your household to go through in the middle of all this time.
I believe should this go back in, okay? Number one, there's a major move that they want to do this. I'll just say this for those of you that have ears to hear and eyes to see. They want to do something on this Jan date where they begin to overturn. That's a real conversation. They're already planning for the victory. They say if this has victory, then we're going to stand up and overturn it. So they're going to do what they're accusing everybody else of doing. This is nuts. And you're looking at this picture and you're seeing this, but one of the big things I think that will manifest, this is going to be in the public. But everything they've caused, they're going to launch when and if, and we got to pray that he gets in there. But the big thing is going to be this. Okay? That's going to be a big one there. What do I mean by this? Well, I believe it's going to be in the form of fires. Okay? Fires that'll come. I believe it's going to be in the form of, tornadoes or big storms. I believe it's going to be in the form of, hurricanes and crazy winds that'll happen. It's going to be in the form of oceanic tsunami type activity, earthquakes underground. You're going to start to see earthquakes underground, which there's an argument that can be caused also and induced by humanity. There's people that have gone on record saying that they can do this kind of stuff all the way from, get this, all the way from Antarctica.
What if politicians could command the weather? If they could create a powerful monsoon as an act of warfare, a whirling hurricane which flattens a city, or an endless drought which starves a nation? Terrifying, right? But what if we told you that this astonishing ability to manipulate the weather is not confined to the realms of fantasy?
Can these scientists fly into a cloud and make it give rain to a needy earth when it would not naturally do so?
Weather manipulation techniques have a long history, dating back to the mid-20th century. In 1946, Vincent Schaefer, a chemist working for General Electric, conducted the first true cloud seeding experiment by aircraft.
The discovery that humans could really affect clouds was made by this American. Nearly 30 years ago, Vince Schaefer was in his laboratory making clouds. It was a hot day, so he grabbed some dry ice, frozen carbon dioxide, simply to help cool his freezer. But doing that transformed the cloud.
He dropped 6 pounds of crushed dry ice into a cloud in the Adirondack Mountains of New York. Almost immediately, snow began to fall.
There's a record of a pioneer experiment. First results were not spectacular, but they have definitely proved that rainmaking is a practical proposition.
Talking about how China can absolutely manipulate weather. That's serious, okay? Now, we've all wondered about that, but you're seeing it more and more become mainstream that they can manipulate weather. Point in case with what I'm saying is that they began to do this, I believe, in Texas this last season. We prophesied about a storm that would come, things would happen, then that storm hit, and the storm hit, and I believe it was induced. I think it was an induced storm, I really do, that knocked out Texas's independence because they had their own energy independence. Knocks it all out, knocks out all their power grids, does stuff. They were talking about becoming their own nation. I don't know where that starts and stops, but listen, this happens, and then Texas now is stuck with the Union. It's stuck with the United States the way it was, but they were talking about making their own nation, like separating and going their own direction. Now, I believe some of that happened, and you know, whether this is real or starts and stops, but you see people holding up snow, and they're lighting it on fire, and snow is burning, and they said, what? Snow doesn't do this, okay? Now, what you realize is also this. I believe that the next wave of this kind of stuff will be if they find they're losing footing or they're losing ground, I believe they'll begin to induce blackouts, okay? I think you're going to hear about power shortages. You're going to hear about things, and it won't make sense, but it's going to begin to happen. I began to see things with extreme weather. I began to see circumstances. There's going to be significant defining moments during the middle of storms, I believe this year and the following. You're going to see droughts, earthquakes, wild weather, and significant moments will begin to happen through some of these things. We're going to see more of this. We're going to see economy that shakes. They may hold this off until fall. I know this. I saw October having fire in it. There's going to be a lot going on around October. We're going to begin to see social collision. And this war narrative is what I really want to get into here right now. But this war narrative with these guys, okay, we're seeing this war narrative unfold. I'm going to comment on this because I think there's so much going on around this, and it's very serious. I got to calm down sometimes when I start talking about this. But listen now, this Russia-Ukraine narrative, what's going on here, also has two other players I'm watching for. One is these guys. I think if the swamp was drained, we'd come to the bottom, and we would get to the very bottom of that, and we would discover these guys, as we've said for, probably 2 years now. And then, amazingly enough, I think we are going to hear more and more about this, about Israel. Okay, now let's talk about this narrative here, this whole narrative. Number one, I can't say for sure who's the good guys, who's the bad guys, what's going on around it, but let me say this, and this is going to be very, very important. You listen to me very clearly. When you have all the media and all the narrative is praising they're praising the leader here. They're praising this one. And you got all the celebrities and all the perverts and pedophiles and all the nasty individuals that are filled with all kinds of ungodliness, and everybody's going around and we're saying, let's send aid here. Let's send aid to this. Let's just really stand up when we can't even begin to stand up against those that burn our own cities. And if you remember, if your lightning fast mind can go back and you can remember what happened a year and a half ago when our cities were burning like a birthday cake with candles on it all over, burning all over. Our cities were on fire. We couldn't stop some of that stuff. We couldn't send aid there. That wasn't allowed. But we want to send aid here with an unparalleled level. Storms physically are coming across this nation. Unparalleled, unprecedented weather. The hurricane season will be dramatic. I see hurricanes and I see intense heat coming after intense snow and weather and all this, but intense heat will come again. A time of intense heat, the marking of intense heat. And then when the leaves turn gold and they fall to the ground and the fall time comes, the season of the fall, there will come again a great shift and a great change, and a great awakening will be marked. And I believe that there's going to be a time where we begin to see a number of things that begin to press upon the plateau, the horizon, what we're looking at, upon the landscape, so to speak, of what we're facing over this next season. I believe that we're headed towards a great day, maybe a terrible day for the unrighteous. But when I'm looking at this, what do I mean? I believe there's going to be more and more manifestation by permission. And what do I mean by this? Well, I'm talking about global crisis pressing down upon the landscape, right? There's going to be more and more social crisis and issues. This whole thing about, and this is going to become a big one. I'm going to draw two big ones. Let's go green with this. Weather. I believe weather is going to be very tremendous and a major player in the future of changing the landscape of where things are headed. In addition to this, I'm going to draw this in red because I believe there's coming an unprecedented, like nothing we've ever seen before, solar and worldwide geo storm. And that's going to make a major impact. It's going to break through into the culture like we've never seen before. And I'll be sharing more and more on this. This is something I have shared about. And then when people are saying, look at the northern lights, they're so beautiful. Well, I think a lot of this is falsely Now, the solar scenario or the sun, you're not inducing anything there, okay? But I believe that they're taking advantage of it. I believe they're utilizing it. I believe these things are happening because when you see the sun projecting things and things are taking place around it, I believe that they are utilizing that and getting ready to leverage it for, and by they, I mean some of the wicked leaders in this culture trying to get this to cooperate or use it for their benefit during these times. And then, of course, with all that's going on, we're going to continue to see political things. Let me say one more thing that's going to manifest that I think is a religion. This is a religion. And this is going to be something that they're going to utilize, try to break into this whole time that we're in. They're going to say, oh, that's why this is doing it. That's where this is coming from. And they're going to begin to induce or they're going to try to institute, if nothing else works, they're going to try to institute this.
because of this false narrative. Stuff that happens in cycles, they're going to break down and say, wow, we got to get there. Now, I think all this is avoidable, but I do think this is happening. Looking at this, my sense is that they're going to begin to induce all kinds of stuff we haven't been hearing about much. I think we're going to see weather that has never been seen before. I think we're going to get into that solar flare narrative.
But I believe the word of the Lord is this: as the hurricane had the stuffing knocked out of its highest and evil potential, there's very similar things that are going to happen going into October, November. They're throwing out the October surprise right now. That's the red October. We're in the middle of it right now, and it is devastating, but there is light shining. This might be as dark as Egypt in some areas, but I'm telling you, the body of Christ, the church of the Lord Jesus Christ, the red church, the blood-bought believers, there is a remnant rising, and it is Goshen. In darkness in Egypt. Goshen is here. Welcome to Goshen, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see Goshen in 25. Maccabees in 25. And remember, when you hear the word solar storm, you hear the word solar things, or all this stuff to do with solar flares, it's a watchword. But I saw fires across the land. I saw them trying to bring out the solar flare narrative, and they're trying to do a chaos storm across this republic. I'm going to say this by faith over you. You're going to be okay. God is with you. Don't you fear. Don't feed that evil spirit of fear. You lean in faith. I love every nation in this world, but I'm speaking to those who've been impacted in this nation right now. You're Americans. You come from a different fabric. And every nation that believes in Jesus Christ, and every believer, every person out there, we love you and your nation. But I'm speaking to people that have been impacted in this nation. God is with you. Don't you be afraid. Now you got to watch for this solar flare stuff. Sun flares, solar storms on the sun, or it's going to reach Earth, all that stuff. Now it might be real, but they're going to utilize it. You understand? They'll utilize it. They'll try to make a big old deal out of it. When you hear this stuff, you need to exercise your faith of joy. Remember when Nehemiah rebuilt the wall? Do you remember this? Nehemiah had to rebuild the wall. He went in, and when Nehemiah went in, one of the things in his arsenal was joy. He said, "And the joy of the Lord is our strength." And I'm telling you, to rebuild, to come back, to push this wickedness back, we're going to operate with the joy of the Lord that is our strength. When you hear about solar flares, yes, it's bad, and yes, it's a propagated nonsense issue that they're going to bring out. Know that during that time, their plan is to knock out grids, to knock out cell service, to knock out all these things. Suddenly, brownouts, blackouts, all of it. They'll try that. That's coming. But you respond with joy, because the joy of the Lord is our strength. We've seen a victory. It was a difficult thing that happened in Florida with that storm, but victory has also happened. Let's keep praying. Let's keep watching. Let's keep discerning, because Jesus is coming quickly. That's what he says in the end of the book. Behold, I come quickly, and my reward is coming with me. Hear this clearly, ladies and gentlemen. It's been the message for 2,000 years, but it's still as current and relevant today as ever. Jesus is coming soon. We love you so much. The King of Saints. He's coming soon. Love you. We love you.
I wanted to say a very special thank you